And there you have it. We have pretty much a sporty little mini sketch.
Hey everybody, I'm Christine Zurian from Mini Design, and much like most of you, we're also working from home. We thought it would be a great opportunity to do a small sketch demo and show you the mini hatch. So go ahead and grab some paper and a pencil and let's get sketching.
All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is sketch in the front and rear wheel axis. I'm gonna sketch in a little bit of the ground plane and the bottom of the car. And I'm keeping my lines super light. I'm using a light pencil because I want to be able to move around the proportions if we need to. I'm going to sketch the bonnet line connected to the DLO. We have a wraparound greenhouse, so we have a really long line from the bonnet to the DLO. I'm going to sketch in my A-pillar connection. I'm going to take an angle from the front wheel axis up into the greenhouse, and I'm going to use a similar angle to find the rear proportions. I'm going to sketch in a little bit of the rear window, the C-pillar, my Y0 section in the rear, and I'm just keeping everything super, super light. I'm going to go in and throw in the little bit of the wheel ellipses just to place the wheels. And then I know my front headlight is going to sit somewhere here. I'm going to show the short front overhang. So once I find the headlight, I'm going to go through, find the front windscreen connection, and bring that roof line back into the C-pillar. And just start defining a little bit more the rear overhang. And generally now you can see we have an overall proportion of the mini hatch. Now I'm just going to go through and start giving my lines a little bit more crown, a little bit more tension, and start defining the sketch a bit more. So I'm going to give a little bit more contrast. I'm going to commit to the front headlight and the front bonnet section. And I'm just kind of going through and darkening up the lines and committing to the overall proportions of the sketch. So I'm going to define the rear windscreen a little bit and define a bit more the rear Y0 section. So I know we have a rear light that sits somewhere here, and we have the rear bumper, and we really want to show off that short overhang, so I'm going to throw a lot of this in shadow so that we can optically shorten the front and rear overhangs. Now I'm just going to go through, find the C-pillar, give it a little sporty spoiler. And I'm going to start darkening up all that stuff. And I'm staying pretty loose and pretty sketchy. So now let's start giving the car a little bit more value. We have the overall proportions, and now we want to show off what's happening in between the lines. So we know we're catching a lot of sky tone here. It's a really soft surface over the front wheel, so we're just going to go through and kind of show off that sky tone. We have a really soft bone, about 2/3 up the body side, that goes in and out between the front and rear wheel, which we call the Coke bottle plan shape. So we're going to kind of show that off in the shading. We have a really soft light catcher down here, and underneath the car is a lot of this black spat area. We're going to define the B-pillar, and I'm just kind of again going through and just going to start darkening up my lines. I'm going to find that bonnet Y0 section, and that's going to go right through the headlight, and then I'm going to start defining the headlight a little bit. I'm going to sketch in the signature icon, the round elliptical front light. And always grab a sharp pencil when you need to commit to some tough lines. And I'm going to focus on the A-pillar so I can separate the glass from the front windscreen. So I can separate the side glass from the front windscreen. I'm going to make a little mirror here, just a little indication of a mirror. That way we can use the shadow to define the sculpture in the body side. And I'm just going to go in and chunk in the side glass. We have a wraparound greenhouse, so we can go from dark to light and just kind of show that greenhouse section. And don't worry about the choppy lines, because we can just cover them up with when we call out the top of the DLO and the bottom of the DLO. So we can go through and just really get some contrast here. So now that we have the A-pillar defined, we're going to shade the front windscreen from dark to light and call out that front windscreen section. Again, Mini should be super fun to sketch. Keep it loose, keep it simple, have fun. We're going to put a little bit of a side scuttle indication here. And we know that that bone from the body side core is going to go right in this area of the side scuttle. And I'm using my hash marks to show this Coke bottle plan shape that goes from the front wheel through the body side and into the rear wheel. And I'm going to go through and just start giving this a lot of value and a lot of contrast to show the really soft section here. And again, using my hash marks. And again, using my hash mark shading to show the body side sculpture. And I'm just going to kind of fade that out. And then I'll show a little bit on the bottom. Just kind of filling in what's happening in the sketch. We have a really soft body side on the mini hatch, so we want to show that in the sketch. And I'm going to go through and put a little bit of sky tone over the rear wheel. Call out the rear wide zero a little bit more. And shorten that rear overhang. So now we have pretty much everything filled in. We're gonna give a little bit of emphasis on the wheels. I put a little bit of shadow to show some depth in the wheels, and then we're gonna call out a little bit of the spoke indication. I'm not gonna go through and sketch, I'm not gonna go through and spend a lot of time detailing the wheels because I like to keep the sketch pretty loose. So I'm just gonna indicate the spokes, put a little mini logo into the center, and maybe put a little emphasis on the spats. I think it gives the sketch a lot of character when you just keep it simple and loose and focus on the proportions. So I'm just going to continue to call out a little bit of this wheel area. We have a black spat that goes around the wheels, a little bit of the front overhang, and just kind of go through and darken up things that I think maybe need a little bit of attention. Let's throw in that shadow from the mirror so we can call out the soft section in the body side. But we don't want to spend too much time detailing because the sketch has already a really nice loose feeling, and we're just gonna keep it at that. We're showing off the proportions and the sporty go-kart-like feeling of Mini. I'm gonna throw in the B-pillar shut line and just kind of give it a little bit of shadow underneath the wheels. And there you have it. We have pretty much a sporty little mini sketch, a sporty little hatch. Now you can either keep the page as is, you can add a background, or you can make this page an ideation page and start sketching, I don't know, the GP maybe. So let's go ahead and really quickly sketch a GP. I'm gonna go ahead and just really fast throw in the wheels, throw in the proportion, sketch in a roof line. I'm keeping it really, really loose, and I'm just gonna kind of move around the sketch. Throw in a big sporty spoiler, the big GP wing, because this is a character sketch and we just want to show off the go-kart like feeling and the really sporty character of the Mini GP. I'm gonna put in the graphic carbon spats, a little bit of the rear Y0 section, the big rear diffuser. I'm just gonna go through and now start darkening up this sketch. We're gonna keep this one really, really loose and super fast. I'm gonna shade in the front spoiler, shade in that A-pillar section, shade in that A-pillar connection, call out the Y0. And I'm just kind of moving around super fast. I'm going to start darkening up the rear GP wing and the C-pillar. Let's darken up the roof line there. And let's chunk in that side glass. Again, don't worry about the chop because it should be super loose and fun. We can always go through and clean it up with the DLO lines. I'm going to darken up my rear Y0 section, and I'm just going to really darken up this rear diffuser. And I'm just being really loose and fast with this. I'm kind of moving all over the sketch. I'm going to throw in a little bit of the bottom rocker panel area, a little bit of shadow on the ground, the short front overhang, and already we have like this really sporty proportion. So I'm going to go through and just fill in the core again with this Coke bottle shape and kind of call out the rear spat and the rocker panel area. And I'm keeping it really graphic. I'm not detailing it too much. I'm going to throw in indication of the spokes of the rear wheel. And same with the front, just lightly indicating some wheels here. Because what I really want to show in this sketch is just the gesture of the Mini, is just the gesture of the GP. So again, just some quick indication, and maybe the Mini logo in the center. And I'm just gonna put all this carbon spat in shadow. And I'm kind of just roughing in an overall feeling. And I'm just gonna darken up the side DLO screen a bit. But there you have it. I mean, it's really simple, easy GP, just easy ideation sketch, showing the overall proportions and the overall sporty feeling of Mini.